last week at the owners' meetings, John Lynch said Colton McKivitz would compete for the starting job at right tackle. But Lynch didn't say who McKivitz will compete with. They did sign Matt Pryor, who I guess will be in the competition. He's a vet. He's played the position, but he's making the vet minimum. I don't think he has any guaranteed money. There's no guarantee he'll even make the team. So I think there's a dark horse to compete for this starting job. And I think it's second-year offensive lineman Nick Zakelj. Niners drafted him last year in round 6, I believe. And when they introduced him, when John Lynch spoke about him the night after drafting him, he didn't even know how to pronounce his name. There's a J at the end of it. And he was joking that they kept calling him like Zackelj. So didn't know who he was, probably didn't have much of a hand in scouting and drafting him. There was even a confusion as to how they would use him. Remember, the Niners didn't have a center last offseason, and John Lynch sort of floated that Zakelj might have some flexibility to move over there. Well, they have 2 centers now, Jake Brendel and John Feliciano. They have 1 million guards. What they need is a tackle. And when you look into Zakelj, he really fits the 49ers paradigm mold for a right tackle. First of all, he played left tackle in college at Fordham, so he wasn't facing NFL pass rushers, but he played left tackle in college, and he's 6'6". Every right tackle the 49ers have acquired since Kyle Shanahan has been here has been at least 6'6". I'm talking Mike McGlinchey, Justin School, remember him? Colton McKivitz, Tom Compton, Matt Pryor, and I'm looking at Nick Zakelj, at least 6'6". I'm thinking Kyle Shanahan told the scouts that's what he wants at that position. He wants that size, which is probably why they took a guy like Spencer Burford, who played tackle in college, but it's only 6'4", and moved him to guard. Nick Zakelj could stay at tackle, but he has shorter arms, 32 and 7/8 inches. Is that too short for the 49ers? Well, look at Colton McKivitz. His arms are 33 inches long. So the difference between Zakelj and McKivitz's arm length is 1/8 of an inch. It's hardly detectable. So I think it's interesting to just compare their combine results in general. Zakelj was invited to the combine despite going to Fordham, which is impressive. Let's do Colton McKivitz first. This is the Niners' supposed starting right tackle. He's 6'6", 306, at least at the combine. A little on the light side for a tall guy like that. Ran a 5.3 5.40, which is not fast. Put up 20 reps on the bench, which is not a lot. Vertical jump, 26 inches. Broad jump, 8 feet, 10 inches. 20-yard shuttle, 5 seconds flat. And 3 cone drills, 7.87. Now let's do Nick Zakelj. He was 6'6", 316, so a full 10 pounds heavier than Colton McKivitz, and yet Zakelj ran a 5.13, which is really fast for someone who weighs 316 pounds. He also put up 27 reps on the bench, which is 7 more than McKivitz. Vertical jump, 28.5 inches. Broad jump, 9 feet, 2 inches. 20-yard shuttle, 4.71 seconds. 3 cone drill, 7.75 seconds. He's a better athlete than Colton McKivitz. He's thicker than Colton McKivitz, stronger than Colton McKivitz, faster, more agile. Does that mean he's a better offensive lineman than Colton McKivitz? No. Well, Colton McKivitz has been in the league longer. He might be better in pass protection now. Maybe. But we'll see. Zakelj was essentially redshirted, and that's what the Niners like to do with their young offensive lineman. It worked for Aaron Banks. Remember, they drafted Aaron Banks in round 2, remade his body. He inserted him into the starting lineup in year 2 of his career last year, and he was more than solid. Is that what the Niners are doing with Nick Zakelj? Well, he was a 6th-round pick. They're not just going to give him the job. He's going to have to compete with Colton McKivitz, but Zakelj is competing with an inferior athlete. So we'll see. I mean, the test is going to come down to pass protection. Can Nick Zakelj, who was a tackle at Fordham, actually block NFL edge rushers in space, one-on-one, on pass plays? We'll see. We didn't see him play last year. But if he can, or if he's roughly as good as McKivitz, who I'm not thinking is going to be super great as a pass protector, I don't think McKivitz is going to be super great at anything. Maybe he'll be serviceable at everything or some things. But if Zakelj could at least be serviceable in pass protection like McKivitz, Zakelj has the athleticism to give the 49ers a real weapon as a run blocker. something they haven't had since young Mike McGlinchey, or even, dare I say, Tom Compton. When Tom Compton became the right tackle in 2021, is right around when Deebo Samuel became the running back. And all of a sudden, all those sweeps to the right started hitting. Deebo was a big part of that, but so was Compton. He was the guy leading the way. Last year, those runs weren't hitting. Part of it was that Deebo had an extra little chunk on him. But the other part was that Mike McGlinchey was limping down the field. Did the Broncos not see that anyway? Nick Zakelj can run. He's 316 pounds. He might be able to bring back that explosive element because the Niners' long outside runs go to the right. Been that way for a long time. They're bigger offensive linemen on the left. Laken Tomlinson in the past. Aaron Banks now. The smaller, fast ones on the right. That's where they're trying to hit you with the knockout punch in the run game. Around the edge. It's not McKivitz. As long as McKivitz is a starting right tackle, the Niners don't have that element in their offense. And the other thing about him is he's not particularly big either. So you don't have like a powerful right tackle who's going to blow people off the ball, or a fast right tackle who's going to outflank defenders and get downfield and make great blocks 20 yards down the field. He's neither of those things. What he is functional, and maybe he'll be okay in pass protection. But again, if he's what you got is basically a solid, smaller, tall offensive lineman in McKivitz competing with Matt Pryor, who's huge and slow, and Nick Zakelj potentially, who's also bigger than McKivitz and very fast. So I'm looking at Zakelj. The Niners have had a very good track record of drafting in the late rounds. They'll take someone you'd never heard of. Maybe even their general manager hasn't heard of them, the head coach, but their scouts are good. They've been doing this a long time. They know exactly what they're looking for. And then in year two, they emerge out of nowhere. So I'm thinking the fact that the Niners have been so coy at right tackle, haven't really said what they're going to do. Oh, yeah, we like McKivitz, and there's going to be a competition, but we don't say who. They must be really confident in something. And it could be some tackle they're targeting in the draft, although this team doesn't typically draft offensive linemen and start them right away. Burford was an exception last year, but he rotated. It could be someone in the draft that they're eyeing, or it could be someone they drafted last year. Someone such as Zackelj that they secretly have a lot of confidence in. And frankly, if I were them, I would be very confident in players they drafted in the past, because look at Talanoa Hufanga emerged in his second year. Again, Aaron Banks, they've had all these success with young players emerging in year two. This guy is a guy who actually has real talent and athleticism. I think they'll give him an opportunity by just signing Colton McKivitz. The door is wide open for their draft pick to impress him. They're not going to hand him the job, but they're not exactly blocking him. They didn't go sign someone for a lot of money. They don't have a first-round pick. If Nick Zakelj shows he's functional in pass protection, watch out, because he could be a real weapon as a run blocker. That's one guy I'm really intrigued to watch this offseason, Nick Zakelj.